Welcome to EDH 626, Legal Issues in Higher Education. We will be spending the next term exploring the ever-evolving legal landscape of the laws and policies which impact institutions of higher education in the United States of America. The point of view we will be utilizing is that of the administrator, not of a lawyer. The goal of the course is not to have you serve as an expert in legal issues. Instead, the purpose of this course is to introduce you to the legal concepts which impact your work as a future leader in higher education. To do this, we will explore the legal concepts impacting our work on campuses day to day. This foundational knowledge will assist you in the future as you are tasked to develop, implement, and maintain programs and services in the daily work of academia as future leaders. Having the ability to read legal documents, such as case law, and being able to interpret said documents from the point of view of how it will impact your work, your campus, and your processes is a vital skill to develop in our increasingly compliance-based environment in higher education. Legal issues exist in higher education at every level and every stage of an individual's relationship with our institutions. Students applying to our schools begin their formalized relationship with institutions the moment they submit their application for admission. Faculty and staff apply to our institutions beginning their employment relationship. In higher education, we maintain campuses both physical and online, which come with responsibilities to maintain safety and rights and responsibilities for the people present in those spaces, be they affiliated with the institution, hired as contractors, guests, and the public visiting those spaces. We have boards of governors or regents charged with ensuring the mission and vision of the institution continues to advance, while also ensuring specific legal requirements are being met. The day-to-day functions of higher education are guided and informed by local, state, and federal laws, policies, and mandates. Legal issues impact financial aid, employment and hiring decisions, unions, academic freedom, protection of academic property, residential facilities on campus, programs offered by the campus, and so many more spaces. Legal issues can seem overwhelming, daunting, and constantly evolving, but they can also help to inform best practice, encourage social justice initiatives, increase access for all, ensure physical safety, and at times provide phenomenally interesting case studies to explore. Having an informed understanding of the legal requirements, challenges, and opportunities associated with institutions in higher education is an essential criterion for the education leaders of the future, and hopefully will be an interesting exploration for us all over the next 10 weeks. One challenge in being a scholar of the law is recognizing that the law is constantly evolving and changing. The makeup of the courts, administrations, and public viewpoints are constantly shifting and moving. As a result, it is important for us to know not only the legal foundation of concepts, but also be keenly aware of the fact that different districts and states might have different laws and regulations. While not all encompassing of current legal issues in the United States, some of the current legal issues in discussion with an impact on higher education include affirmative action, looking both at admissions and employment practices, Title IX, specifically focused on sexual harassment and assault on campus, international and undocumented students, staff, and faculty and their ability to be present on our campuses, an increase in campus activism including protests, and the right to carry guns on campuses. All of these issues and many more in higher education law are constantly evolving based on court decisions and new legislation. With a new administration, areas which may have received a great deal of legislative and government attention may shift. It is important for you as a future leader of higher education to stay aware of the current, ever-shifting landscape which impacts the work that we engage in daily. Where do the sources of higher education law come from? At the base level, colleges and universities have the ability and authority to create their own law for the specific entity. As Kaplan and Lee state, there are 3 types of internal law for higher education institutions: institutional rules and regulations, institutional contracts, and academic custom and usage. We will be exploring all three of these sources of internal law during this module. The next level, or source of education law, come from the state and local governments. Common law, administrative regulations, statutes, ordinances, and state constitutions all inform the legal requirements of institutions based on their geographic location, and each state can have a wide variance in the legal impact on the operations of the institution. A current example is concealed carry of guns on campus. For example, as of May of 2017, in Texas, individuals are allowed to conceal carry on campus. In Illinois, guns are prohibited on campus by law. And in Florida, concealed guns are only allowed in locked cars and parking lots. And in many states, this issue will be a part of the legislative session this year and in years to come. Federal law is the final and highest source of higher education law in the United States. Institutions of higher education are impacted both by administrative regulations, statutes, and the federal Constitution. If there is a conflict between the levels of law, the highest level is the superior legal decision and will prevail in the final decision. So, for example, a Supreme Court decision will outweigh the decision of a lower court or a campus if it is legally challenged. Not mentioned in this graphic is the impact of foreign and international law. As the focus of this course is on legal issues in the United States, we will not be exploring this relationship in depth during our time together. More information about these relationships will be explored throughout this module, as well as through the course. You will also explore the structure of the court system in the United States this week to gain a better understanding of the design and processes of the courts and how they function. It is worthy of note that laws and policies may impact certain institutional types differently. Public institutions will have more state, local, and federal influence than their private and religious counterparts. This dichotomy is explored in Chapter 1 of Kaplan and Lee. Legal liability is a consideration for all higher education leaders. Legal liability exists if a court or agency determines that an entity has failed to meet the responsibilities they are obligated to fulfill either through the contract with the party wronged or by engaging in conduct prohibited by law. Legal liability can impact institutions as an entity, board of trustees member, staff member, faculty member, and essentially anyone acting as an agent of the higher education institution. Minimizing legal liability is a major focus of risk management for institutions of higher education. Mitigating possible foreseeable risks in our increasingly litigious and compliance-based environment is an important consideration for any future leader in higher education. Institutional management will be explored more in depth in Chapter 2 of Kaplan and Lee. The sources of legal liability should look familiar to you from our previous discussion of sources of higher education law. Constitutions, statutes, and regulations, and state common law are the three primary sources which create legal liabilities. Litigation in the courts is one of the primary forms to resolve issues of legal liability and will be a major focus of the legal resources we will explore this term. As a part of the legal process in the courts, the concept of academic deference is a concept to be aware of. The courts have recognized the expertise of institutions in the decision-making processes on their campuses. As a result, the court may relax their review approach, trusting in the expertise of the institution or its agents in making academic decisions and policies. Essentially, this leaves the policy-making for higher education to the institutions rather than to the courts. Academic deference has been used in cases of admission and tenure, processes traditionally set and driven by individual higher education institutions. It is important to note that litigation is not the only way to resolve legal liability issues. Alternative dispute resolution is increasingly becoming more popular in resolving legal conflicts. Alternative dispute resolution can involve more informal processes, such as a grievance process through an ombudsperson, to more formalized processes such as mediation and arbitration. One of the greatest challenges for legal scholars regarding alternative dispute resolution is that a majority of these processes are private, so there is limited documentation available for public consumption. Ultimately, alternative dispute resolution processes can assist institutions in effectively utilizing human and financial resources when addressing grievances by avoiding the, at times, lengthy legal court and appeals process. During this module, the identified learning outcomes are: identify and compare the different sources of law in the United States which impact higher education institutions, distinguish between university policy, state and federal law, and other sources of policy, analyze the connection between legal issues and the role of administrator in higher education. As you approach the videos, readings, and our discussion board, begin to think about how legal issues impact either your current or dream position as a higher education leader. In a few weeks, you will be choosing a topic area to conduct legal research and make suggestions based off of your research to an institution of higher education. Start to think about the areas of the law which interest you for this culminating project. I also want to encourage you to reach out to your instructor if you have any questions or challenges with the material in this course. Legal issues can be a dense subject to explore, but can also be very enlightening and possibly fun and funny. We are here to assist you throughout the course, but as a reminder, your instructor is not here to offer legal advice. Rather, to make you a more conscious consumer of legal materials so that you can make informed decisions as a future leader of higher education. Welcome to the world of legal issues in higher education.